Everyone knows that suit is the strongest armor option for Anarchist. This, along with the legacy of the DS community pushing people to only play suit, has led to the general dismissal of other armors on Anarchist. Some of the other armor options have very distinct use cases and interesting playstyles. The weakness of other armors is the regeneration speed. You lose most of suit's extremely good gating in return for tanking. The big problem, though, is that these timers are very long and you have to regenerate the total armor. The way you counteract this is by taking Bullseye Aced. Bullseye Basic is redundant on nearly every single suit Anarchist build. The timers sync up very similarly and cause you to have massive amounts of diminishing returns. You either ace it or don't take it at all in most cases. The main advantage of armors other than suit is in their increased tanking capability. Because of this, they all want to take Bullseye Aced in order to regenerate armor quickly and make use of their extra shots. That's enough rambling about fundamental Anarchist build making. Let's talk builds. LBV is the best entry point for non-suit armor. It hits 3-shot armor, which allows for you to hold 2 seconds for longer, which means it will not proc when you don't need it more often. In order to hit 3-shot armor on LBV, you need Frenzy Ace, Iron Man, and a Joker, making it quite expensive. With the extra armor, you have a greater buffer against snipers. We all know how Anarchist players feel about snipers. I can hear you ask, doesn't LBV regen slowly compared to suit? LBV regens its total armor at the same rate as suit. For example, suit regens 10 armor per tick, and LBV regens 15 over the same 6 seconds. They both regen 30 armors. The lower interval of suit is generally better for gating, but this shows how LBV is able to regen effectively back to full. Other armors can hit 3-shot, but the regen timers are notably worse compared to LBV, where LBV keeps a good chunk of the suit's gating, while also getting 3-shot armor. I just picked the Eagle Heavy because it's a cool battle rifle for this build. If you want to play a different weapon, go right ahead. AK-17 would be a notably better choice. The GL is just there for horde clear. I think this build's really fun. Another armor of note is Flatjacket. Anarchist is one of the only decks in which Flatjacket has a real use case over just taking HBV. Flatjacket gets the shortest regen interval with natural 2-shot heavy to armor. This makes it the cheapest thing ever. Technically, it's the same amount of points as getting 2-shot on suit, because you are taking Bullseye Ace for regen instead of a Joker. However, if you join the DS pub, 80% of those players have at least one Joker. Jokers make the game far less interesting overall. However, if you wanted to, you could just run 2-shot suit with no Joker with Frenzy and Iron Man, but ignore that for the sake of Flatjacket. It's kind of funny. On the other hand, HBV is exactly like Flatjacket, but costs 4 more points for Die Hard Aced. For those 4 points, you get easier concealment, shorter armor regen interval, and faster movement speed. If you wanted to put this on the build, you could just drop 9 lives and then put that on instead. Then Flatjacket loses its gimmick, and that was kind of the point of the build, but you can. The weapons are Akimbo Pistol 5.7. You know me, I love me some good pistols. Jote deployables are kind of cool because of just how cheap the build is. It lets you take basically everything. Just a standard Molotov Zerk. I'll show it on the screen here. It's happening now. Wow, isn't that so cool? And that's the build. Lastly, ICTV Anarchist's reputation was dragged through the mud for years. This has led to people not actually using it and still calling it terrible. ICTV Anarchist is able to build 4-shot armor with the Joker and Frenzy Aced, which is the most tanky version of Anarchist. This does, however, cost a ton of skill points. The common counter-argument towards this tanking is the regen speed is far too slow. However, with Bullseye Ace, this problem is almost non-existent. It also doesn't have to build the entire 4-shot every time you want to peek. You can peek with enough armor to gate, then Bullseye, or just build 2 or 3-shot armor, then peek to preserve 2 seconds. ICTV does mostly kill the suit gating ability, so you have to play the game far differently in ICTV compared to suit. So don't go into ICTV Anarchist expecting suit Anarchist, it's just not going to work the same. The thing ICTV Anarchist struggles with is Zerking. This build in specific doesn't have weapons that need you to go below Frenzy Zerk, but if you wanted to go below Frenzy Zerk, it's extremely difficult to do so. If you are making your own build, you are able to take Armor Bag if you don't care about your deployable, to Zerk, then equip your ICTV afterwards with the Armor Bag. It's probably the only actual use the deployable has, and I think it's worth mentioning because it's kind of cool. The guns on the build are the standard 258 Sniper with 100 damage SMG. Sniper clears literally everything in the game. The SMG is used for dozers. The biggest piece of advice I can give for getting your armor back is to be willing to shoot your jokers. Anarchist does this anyway, but if you use Bullseye and Lust for Life on your joker, you can regen your full ICTV within cover in like 10 seconds. The last 2 armors of note are CTV and BV. These don't really do anything of interest to where I'd give them a build. There are builds for them, like BV hits 3-shot armor as well, but everything else is just worse LBV, so there's actually no reason to use it outside of looking like a hipster. CTV does actually nothing. It's just Flatjacket, but everything is just worse. Kind of a trend with these armor choices. Overall, non-suit Anarchist options are quite cool and worth a try. If you're looking for another unconventional Anarchist build, the Bleach Streets did a video with Health Anarchist recently, so go check that one out. I quite liked the build, I played it myself. With all that being said, special thank you to Not Your Average Stalin for helping writing the script, proofreading the script, chilling while I edited, and just being an all-around great guy. Next video, again, should be shorter to release than this one. I'm getting back in the groove. I'm so sorry for, like, the immense amount of delays on this video.